All right. Well, I'm here today with Betty, one of my amazing one-on-one coaching clients, and we just finished our 8-month coaching container. I'm so excited to chat with you about your experience today, Betty. So to start off with, why don't you just tell everybody watching and listening a little bit about yourself and your business and just introduce yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Tasha. My name is Betty Barnard, and I am the president and CEO of Resurgence Impact Consulting. And we are a grant consulting firm that specializes in grant writing, research, and strategy for nonprofits that work on health, human services, and movement building.
Awesome. I love that. And it's been such a pleasure working with you. For anybody who doesn't know me, I'm Tasha Prados. I'm the founder of Duraca Strategic. I'm a business coach and I help you attract premium clients so you can do work you love and have your dream business without burning yourself out. Okay, so let's get into it. Betty, if you can think back to 8 months ago when you decided to start working with me, tell me a little bit about what things were like at Resurgence Impact Consulting before you decided to work with me, and what were the main issues that you wanted to tackle with a coach?
Yeah, absolutely. I am amazed to say that reflecting back on 8 months ago, it was such a different world for many reasons,
Yeah.
but like business wise, I would say that we had very little marketing infrastructure, and what we had was very scattered. So we didn't have a cohesive strategy, tools, or really materials for us to be able to put ourselves out there in a way that would resonate with our target audience and the kind of nonprofits that we want to help. We had just worked with the Small Business Development Center to create a business plan and a marketing plan last fall. And after that was done, I felt a great sense of accomplishment and I had a purpose and a vision that I wanted to work towards, but I was like, great, now how do I execute this? So really needed a ton of guidance on setting it up and what the content would look like, and of course, making sure all of that actually followed a strategy that made sense for our business and our plan. And I also really wanted like a supportive, gentle push and accountability for my part in it, because as a small business owner, I wear a lot of different hats. And one of them is the chief marketing officer, which isn't one that I had really even considered before among like the CEO, the CTO, the CIO, blah, blah, blah. Um, I don't have that background or skill set at all whatsoever. And even though I am a writer by profession, I write grants, not
Mhm.
marketing content. So it's definitely using a different skill set and part of my brain.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. And just to contextualize for folks a little bit, you just celebrated your 10-year anniversary in business. I think you have a staff of around a dozen people. Is that right? A dozen? Ooh,
We have 10.
10. Okay, yeah. So close, almost a dozen people. I think you've raised now $170 million in grant funds for nonprofits. Did I get that figure right?
We're at 157 million, but
157 million.
awards are still coming in through the end of the year. And when the government reopens, I'm hoping that that number probably will be close to 170.
Amazing. And what else did I want to share about you guys? Oh, I remember I was going back through kind of your feedback forms, and when you joined, you shared that your revenue in 2024 was about 70K a month. So just to contextualize that for a little bit, and you just celebrated your 10-year anniversary in business. So like just to contextualize for folks, I think a lot of times when they hear people say, "Oh, we don't have like a marketing infrastructure," they might think of someone who's at the beginning of their journey, but you've had an extremely successful business for a decade with that. So that is freaking impressive.
Thank you. Yeah, most of it was word of mouth, but I knew that if we were going to grow the way that I want the company to grow and help
Yeah,
the nonprofits that I want to be helping, that we would have to do very intentional direct marketing.
100%. And then let's just contextualize things for folks a little bit further. We are recording this in 2025. It's been like one of the toughest years for nonprofits in probably living memory. Would you tell us a little bit about that and the challenges in your industry right now?
Yeah, yeah. I still feel like this was a good time to do it despite all that. And we are still on track to earn more despite the hardships. I'm like knocking
Amazing.
furiously on wood because it's been such a roller coaster this year. But everyone I've spoken with, from seasoned professionals who've been in the game for decades and decades to newbies who've entered the field, within the last couple of years, have said that this is the wildest, most unpredictable time. It's nothing like they've seen. And that includes COVID, which
Yeah,
was also
insane.
something that completely rocked our sector.
Yeah, absolutely. So now that we've contextualized that a little bit, let's talk a little bit about where Rick is now, 8 months after us working together. I would love to hear a little bit about what tangible outcomes you've maybe seen as a result of our work together.
Yeah, so that was really fun to put together. So we now have infrastructure like a content calendar. So for us, that looks like a Google Sheet with various different tabs organized by when we need to get the content out and the type of content. And we also have some content pillars, which was really a great value add. It's not something that I was familiar with at all. This was like a whole new vocabulary to me and a way of thinking about how we position our company as thought leaders and as grant experts. So that's something that I really appreciate that helped us get organized and kind of like figure out what message can we deliver, like what content is going to resonate with people, and how do we spread that out across our calendar so that we're being repetitive in the sense that we want to get our message out there because we know that there's a lot of noise for sure, but we have to be consistent about what we say and how we say it. So I think that that's been incredibly helpful for us, and it's something that we can refresh and like reuse. It's recyclable. It's not something that we have to reinvent the wheel every single time we want to make a post or send an email. So that is incredibly valuable, and something that I like. My personality and my work and leadership style. I'm like, how do we keep it simple and how do we keep it moving? What makes it
Yeah.
easy for us to get that out there? Um, we also, this is still a work in progress, which I didn't even realize. First off, Tasha, like you pinpointed that this was an issue that we needed to address. Previously, whenever we've done systems overhauls like this, I think I have approached it like, let's get it done and get it out there, like startup mentality.
Mm,
But this time I was like, okay, let's be very deliberate about this, test it, because so it's our lead conversion process, right?
yeah.
So you pinpointed that when potential clients go to our website, the form that we have for them to fill out is probably turning them away because they see how long it is and how detailed, and they're like, I'm not doing that right now or ever. So they leave the site, they leave our lead pool, or maybe they like sign up for a newsletter, which then goes to spam or they forget about. But now we're trying to streamline that so that it's really so much easier for them to say, hey, like we need help with this specific thing. And then that way we can use our sales process to draw them in. We're also working on some new service packages that suit our clients' needs and our company growth. And that is also something that's taken a bit of a long time. I think in large part because one, I'm trying to test it with staff and clients in a way that I haven't before. I've usually just announced the changes and been like, here they are, like get on board or see you later. Fortunately, a lot of our clients have huge amount of trust in us, so everyone's come along. But with all of the shifts in the market, with just everything, government, philanthropy, corporate giving, the nonprofit sector at large, um, it feels very iterative and like it's important to be very intentional and ask people what their needs are right
Yeah.
now. And sometimes they're like, we don't even know what our needs are because we have whiplash every day from all these changes.
Yeah.
But I think the value that I got from you is putting a premium on listening to clients, like asking them
Yeah.
questions and listening deeply it's still important for us to position ourselves as experts and as the business owner and be like, here's what I hear you need. Here's what my expertise is saying that will benefit your organization and solve your problem. But to really like be in dialogue and conversation with them about that to see what resonates.
Absolutely. That's amazing. And then just to ask, like, I know, I'm curious, I don't know if you have the numbers on this, but I know at one point you mentioned your revenue was actually up 15K a month. I don't know if you have any details about email signups for the newsletter or LinkedIn follower growth, or any hard numbers like that. But would love to hear just your thoughts on the success of that content strategy and marketing strategy.
Yeah, definitely. While I get those numbers up, I did think of a couple of other things that have been really helpful.
Awesome.
So, um, probably the one of the first things that you had me do that was a game changer and a mindset shift for me was listing out my dream clients.
Yeah.
And yeah, I had never done that before. It was all in my head. And I think oftentimes once we put our head onto paper, onto a Google Doc, then we start to put that into action. Our
Yeah.
dreams now become like a plan that we can pursue. So
Yeah.
making that list and then reaching out to them intentionally throughout the year has been really impactful.
Yeah.
Um, so let me see what data I can get for you. Um, okay.
Amazing. And then while you're looking for that, I'll just share another thing that we worked on that I think is really cool. And I don't know if you have any thoughts on this, but the evolution in your office hours. You know, you'd been doing this monthly office hours event for leads, and I think we did a lot to sort of transform that into not just like a regular event you were having, but how can we really leverage this for lead generation and ultimately for sales as well?
Yeah, that has been there's been a lot of aha moments, I think, with office hours. So we had started this event series earlier this year where we did it was kind of like a lead magnet, inviting people in to have casual conversations about topics that were on their mind related to grants, but then we didn't really have a system or a process for any sort of follow up. So now we have a really seamless registration system. We track who attends, and every month after the series, we send a recap with key takeaways and messaging about working with us and what that's like, inviting people to have a conversation or tell us what they need. And then I also do personalized follow-ups.
Amazing.
Yeah. So it looks like our open rate is 57%,
Amazing.
click through is 12%,
That's amazing.
and yeah, I, I need to find our I'm clicking through all the tabs. I need to find the growth in our overall list and subscribers, but it's been phenomenal. I mean, I would say the email list we've grown by intentionally targeting clients that we want to work with and finding
Yeah.
their emails and then doing campaigns. And we're really happy with the percentage of people who actually will open the email and keep clicking.
Yeah.
And the rate of people who do that is actually a little bit surprising to us because we see that they're consistently opening it, which to us means like they're not unsubscribing or just hitting delete. It's like they're
Right.
interested. They're like, oh, let me
Totally.
follow this and see what's going on. And then our LinkedIn has also grown. That has been, I think, like between our business page and my personal page, that has been another game changer.
Yeah,
So can
absolutely.
I talk a little bit about that
Please.
actually?
I
Because
would
that's
love that.
very
Yes.
okay. Yeah, that's very, very top of mind. I mean, when I first started working with you, Tasha, you know that that was one of my big fears.
Yeah.
I had previously had a bad experience this actually goes back almost to our origin story because this was in 2015 when I left my last job. And I found out after the fact that uh, the agency I worked for had been awarded a grant that I was incredibly proud of. Even to this day, when people
Yeah.
ask me, what is the grant that you are most proud of? I I name this grant. It was to
Mhm.
test sexual assault kits for survivors.
Wow.
And it was it was just so meaningful for me, and it was one of the first grants that I had ever written. And when I posted that I was proud about the award on Facebook, one of my former colleagues commented and made a what I interpreted as a snide remark that seemed to indicate that I was taking credit for something that was a group effort. And I was surprised that I had come off like that because I simply just said I was proud of
Yeah.
this. I didn't mean to imply
Yeah.
that other people weren't involved. And that silenced me, that shut me down for literally 10 years.
Yeah.
So every time I posted something thereafter, well, first off, I would never post about work. Even on LinkedIn, if I posted something, it was usually just like a reshare, like I'm going to
Mhm.
be at this event, like very sporadic and not like
Mhm.
I was dismissive of LinkedIn, you know? Um, but you really encouraged me to find my voice and to see myself as an expert and a thought leader. And this was truly, I think, a case of faking it until you make it. Because I was actually reflecting on this earlier this week. I was like, I feel like I became a thought leader just by doing it.
Yes.
I didn't realize how much the messages that I had to share and the things I had to say would resonate with people throughout this year since I started being vocal on LinkedIn, in particular about the systemic issues and challenges nonprofits face, not just from the administration, but
Yep.
from philanthropy and their failure
Yeah.
to respond adequately now, but also historically, that so many people would come up to me and say, thank you.
Yeah.
Like, thank you for saying this. Thank you for saying
Yeah.
what we're thinking. I see you. I hear you. I appreciate you. Was very, very touching.
Yeah.
So I think I got away from myself. I was trying to find the stats on LinkedIn to see how many subscribers we have now. I know my personal page has grown a lot, which is um, very, very validating. And I've also connected with some people who, not just people who I admire and admired from afar and didn't realize that it would be even possible to connect with, but also with some old colleagues and friends
Yeah.
who I'm thrilled that we're in touch again now. So we've grown to 920 followers, and when we started the year, I think we had less than half of that.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, maybe even a third. Yeah.
Amazing. And it's been amazing to see you grow into that industry, the industry leader that you are. And I think, standing by your values, that really is how you attract premium and aligned clients. I know in the long term, as you continue to grow your presence and share that thought leadership, especially now when people are very scared and intimidated to do so, and there are a lot of perceived and real negative consequences for speaking out. It's hard for a lot of people to do that. So you showing up in that way, you being brave in that way, and you frankly overcoming, this fear and this situation that had been holding you back, and being brave and overcoming that is helping so many people feel less alone and see your light and see your values and have the opportunity to be like, oh, I see her, when we have the funds, like we're going to work with her, and just so many opportunities are going to come out of that.
Yeah, I believe it. And that's also, I'm so glad you said that because that's what I'm hearing when I go to, like I
Yeah.
mentioned to you, I was going to several conferences recently, and everybody is talking about the importance of connection and relationships. And when I go to these conferences, I feel so validated. And
Yeah.
like I recognize now that everybody is going through this because it can feel isolating and
Yeah.
scary to see all this happen, but it's something that our entire sector is going through,
Yeah.
and we have to hold each other up.
Absolutely. And you are being that light for so many people right now.
Yeah, thank you. Other people are being it for me too. It's a web of connection.
I love that. Okay, then, so the next question, and we touched on this a little bit, but anything else you want to share in terms of intangible outcomes you've experienced from our work together? So that could be things like confidence, mindset. And I also wrote down a couple of notes from your feedback forms if nothing immediately comes to mind.
Oh yeah, no, I mean we did touch on this, but I would say like the I did gain a lot of confidence in myself. I mean, if I compare Betty to when we started working together, who was like, I really don't want to do that. Or like, I'm scared of it. I'm scared of reaching out to people and getting rejected. I'm scared of what people will think and say if I
Yeah,
like in response to what I have to think and say.
yeah.
I don't even know how to articulate what it is that I'm feeling. I have so much more confidence in that. And I feel more visible. I feel comfortable with being visible. And like I said, people have said, I see you and I appreciate you. And that feels like, it is very validating. Like I said earlier, I feel connected.
Mm. That is amazing. And I think for the people watching this, it's going to be so powerful for them to hear that because I think a lot of times, people don't realize that. They don't realize that seven-figure business owners with a staff of 10 people and 10 years in business, nobody could ever imagine, like, oh, it's hard for her to put herself out there, right? It's hard for her to show up online. It's hard for her to be vulnerable. And so they think, well, I obviously can't do it, right? But for them to hear, oh, everyone struggles with this. Like, okay, I can overcome this. I can do this. I think that is so powerful to share. And then just looking at a couple of the other things you said in your feedback forms, a lot of this we've covered. You said speaking out about your values isn't as scary as I thought. You said you're a lot more clear on who I want to work with and how to talk to them and how to ID and speak to real clients. You said I'm more focused on listening and less focused on forcing a fit for the sake of getting business. And you also said I'm a lot better at writing copy, listening, and using data, and I'm a lot better at being visible and unafraid, which we just talked about. So that's amazing. So
Yeah.
in spite of everything that we've talked about how difficult 2025 has been for your sector and your industry, how does it feel to be where you're at now and to look back and reflect over these last 8 months and like reflect on your growth, both personally and professionally, like the growth of the business and where the business is at? Like, how does that feel to have made that change?
Yeah, I was actually talking to a friend about that this morning. I feel empowered and I feel less afraid. And I think the level of connection that I feel to other people in the sector now too, by being visible and being in dialogue with them,
Mhm.
um, is it's crucial right now. I know we
Yeah,
keep hearing this message, but that's because it's true that like we really only have each other. We need each other. We're going to get through this, but only if we are standing strong together and propping each other up, no one left behind.
yeah,
Um, I feel like that's really important because I'm not gonna lie, like it still is scary.
yeah,
It has been the 10th year of celebration, and also one of the most difficult years for us and for our clients.
yeah,
But I do feel like it's important for all of us to speak out. And I
yeah,
think if I hadn't gone through this, I would still feel uncomfortable speaking out. I now feel like my voice is important, especially in this climate, and that I'm part of a chorus of advocates and leaders in this space. And if we all sing in unison, if we're all in lockstep about, saying like, this is wrong and this is the new future we want to create, then I believe that that's possible on the other side of this.
that is amazing. That is so powerful. Um, so shifting gears a little bit, if you could think back to 8 months ago when you decided to hire me and invest in this, what made you decide to hire me?
So I remember that I learned about, you and Duraka from a webinar that you did for the Lola, and I feel like I should rewatch that or like reflect on that more because we just talked about office hours and how, that could be like a lead magnet thing to partner with really aligned organizations and groups and then draw people in who are like, yeah,
Totally.
sign me up for
Yes.
that. I agree that. So I think what you said about dream clients hit home and stuck with me. Like I said this earlier, that you were like, okay, if you want to work with them, then make a list and reach out. Duh. Don't just sit there and be like, oh, I wish it's like a crush that you're like, I wish they would look at me. But you don't put yourself out there like try to make eye contact or anything like that. I didn't want to be passive any longer. I didn't want to rely exclusively on word of mouth. I had dreams and a vision, and I have a staff team to take care of. I want them to have upward mobility and to gain skills, and eventually someday I want to pass on a company that leaves a legacy that's mission and values minded that will enable me to move on and do other great things. So I was playing a long game, and I felt like you could help me to take a big leap forward.
I love that. And I think, you are someone with so much vision and to have you know, in a way, it's a leap of faith, right? You already knew in January this was going to be a crazy year, and you still chose to make that sizable investment because you could see the vision for the future. I think that's amazing. So I'd love if you could share a little bit about what the process of working with me was like, and what did it look like week to week? Was it what you expected? What were some of the things that you enjoyed about that, or maybe didn't enjoy about that?
Yeah. So, I mean, going in, I felt like I trusted you to tell me what to do. And I knew from working with other contractors or consultants before that, and also knowing my own approach as a consultant, that if I felt like I wasn't supported, if I wasn't making the progress that I wanted to, or that somebody was passive and they're like, here, watch this video and like we'll talk about it or something. If they didn't hold me accountable and have a clear structure for it, then I was going to be like, this is not for me. I'm out.
Yeah.
I want to get my money's worth. And I did. So I felt like you had a very easy to understand onboarding and engagement process that made it very easy for me to plug in as your client and get ready to succeed. I knew what my homework was and what you expected of me. You gave me gentle but always on time reminders, which was very impressive. I learned a lot even from your own onboarding engagement process about some things that we could and should do to be very clear about like communication, mutual expectations, and just setting firm boundaries that I found to be really impressive. So I felt like it was all clear and had a very great structure that enabled me to succeed.
That's awesome. That makes me super happy. And I think I'd love to just share a little bit more. I think what was really cool about our relationship is I think it goes beyond the definition of like traditional business coaching, right? I was able to kind of come in some ways as a consultant and work with not just you, but also Megan. We had Megan join the Slack, one of Betty's employees. And sometimes we would have Megan join one of our live calls and we'd like go into the back end of like the email marketing and the CRM and like make sure things were working. I wrote down a couple of the like cool projects that we worked on together that like maybe people probably don't think that like a business coach or like a traditional business coaching arrangement would involve, but like we looked at, like you said, we looked at your onboarding process, all the onboarding documents, the contracts, all of that. I even helped write like a LinkedIn guide for your staff. So I think it's like different than the way most people would think about a traditional business coaching arrangement. I think we had that, but then I think we also took that a step further and really customized it to like, where is Betty in her business right now, and how can the business really benefit?
Yeah, you dug in a lot and you asked me for data that you really forced me to like collect and
Yeah.
look at it. in a way that I never had before. And thank God for Megan and her ability to get it on the back end. Um, I think one more thing I would say about working with you is that you did not flake. I is like a super type A person myself who lives and dies by my Google Calendar. Like sometimes I will admit, like with white space, I'm like, what do I do with myself? You showed up, and if I couldn't make it, I think there's like maybe one time when you had a conflict. Everything else was, several times I was like, I can't do this. And you were like, let's find another time right now. Like you
Yeah.
really showed up and you were consistent and you did not flake or ever disappoint me. And
Oh,
that may seem really basic, like a low bar, but you cleared it.
I'm glad. Well, if I wasn't clearing that, we'd definitely have a problem.
I think so too, but you'd be surprised at how many other consultants don't care as much.
That makes me very sad. Um, okay, well, we're almost done. A couple more questions. Would you recommend working with me, and what kind of leader should hire me?
Yes, enthusiastically, without hesitation. I think that anyone wants to step into their power and amplify their profile, especially if you are also a change maker, whatever that might look like for you. And also somebody who's like willing and ready to show up. Because,
Yeah,
like I said, you really show up, you are consistent, you hold people accountable, and you made it really clear, which is why I think I told you from the beginning. I was like, I sat on it for a few months
yeah,
because I knew I didn't have the time that you said that this would really require. And then when I was ready, I was like, let's go. So you do need to be ready.
yeah.
Get ready
Just
for Tasha.
just to tell that story, I think what you told me and correct me, but you came to that webinar that I did with the Lola, and then you told me that you said like, oh, this isn't for everyone, like, don't join unless you're ready. And so you told me you literally had the link to join my program in your inbox and you snoozed it every single day until you were ready. And then when you were ready, you booked an application call. And I think that was in January or February. And we got on the application call and like I didn't have to sell you at all. You were ready. You were like, okay, like let's do the payment, like you were ready to go.
Yeah, pretty much. I think it was every week, not every day, but still, I
Okay,
was
fair
like, all
enough.
right, am I ready this week? Am I ready? All right, yes, I am.
Well, that was like very cool for me to see. And I think that, for a lot of folks listening, they might think like you come across something like this and like, you're not ready right now. And it's easy to let it slip through your fingers and just never act on that impulse, right? And you held yourself accountable and you were like, no, I'm gonna keep thinking about this every single week until I'm ready to go. So that is really admirable. Um, Okay, last question. What is one thing you would tell your younger entrepreneurial self?
Well, there are a lot of things I would tell her, but I would say, especially related to the kind of work we did together, that I would tell Betty 10 years ago, don't be afraid to speak out. And when people knock you down, because they will, sometimes
Yeah,
unintentionally,
yeah,
but regardless, just pick yourself back up and say it again, say it louder. And it's okay, you're going to survive. If you make a mistake or slip up, then don't worry. You're still going to survive. You're still going to be there, but don't muzzle yourself. Don't silence yourself. And I would also say, if I can sneak one more thing in, that it's
yes.
really important to make strategic investments in tools and experts that help you to level up. This is still an ongoing journey for me, and it's something that I am deliberate about,
Yeah,
and we should be deliberate about like where and how we spend our money. Don't be afraid to do it, just be really smart about it.
yeah. Thank you. And thank you for saying that. I think, a lot of early stage entrepreneurs, especially, are very afraid to spend money and not we are not born knowing how to do this stuff, right? We're not born knowing how to run these businesses, how to do marketing, how to show up. Everyone who is successful invests in learning those skills, and those are skills that you can learn and that you need to learn if you're going to be successful in business. So absolutely, you have to be strategic and thoughtful about when and how you make those investments, but it is so, so important to invest in yourself and your business. And it is such a valuable investment to make. So thank you so much for sharing that.
Agree 100%.
Anything else to add?
Just that this was incredibly transformational. So it's not just that this was transformational, it's like this was transformational, period. I am very glad that I did this year in particular. Um, I know you and I have talked about this before, and I tell other people this all the time that even though we didn't expect for this to be such a hard year of swift and severe change, that I feel like we are going to emerge on the other side and we are going to be stronger for it. I think a lot of folks are going to exit the sector. Some organizations are going to shut down, and we may look a lot different, but we are still going to be here. And a big part of it is because we have these new mechanisms, these new tools, and a voice.
Yeah, absolutely. I am so grateful that you are doing this work. The work you do is so important, and I am so honored and glad that I could play a small part in that journey. So thank you for everything that you're doing. You help so many amazing nonprofits, and I know that you are making the world a better place.
Thank you. That feels really good to hear. I receive it.
All right, love you, Betty. Thank you so much for sharing all of this.
Yes, absolutely. My pleasure.